Hi everyone, my name is Alin and YouTube inspired me to finally make my own video about Stranger Things Season 4. And don't get me wrong, I really loved this season, I really love the show, like in general. And the fourth season is probably one of the best seasons yet. Nothing beats the first one for me because it was just phenomenal, but the fourth really got me. Anyway, I have a couple of problems with it, and let me know in the comments if it's just me who got like super high expectations, way too high, or is it really something that could have been done differently to make it even better. So my point is, Eddie's death was completely pointless, like completely useless. It didn't change anything. Like, I understand his desire to become the hero and to finally like stand up and not run away, but him stopping in front of these bats was a completely useless move. It didn't buy that much time, and it didn't like really, in the grand scope of things, even if things worked out, it wouldn't change anything. But what I'm most pissed off about is that it was like so predictable. I knew that Eddie would die, but I didn't believe up until the end that they would like literally do it for the fourth time. I think they should just stop killing new people just so the main cast remains. Like, we still have some killings here and there, but no one really major really dies. That is why I was in a way really happy that Max died. Like, of course she didn't. I truly love Max. She is my favorite character, I guess. And her dying made such an impact on me, and this whole scene with Max and Lucas, it was so on point. It was such a tearjerker, but they just had to make her come back to life. Like, of course, killing off Sadie's character would be such a shitty move because I'm sure she will be phenomenal in the fifth season, and they should have her. But I don't know, they should like really start killing off major characters, and they will in the fifth season, but I was expecting so much more from the fourth season. Even if they, like, I don't know, killed a bunch of main characters, but then in the fifth season they would come back to life, I would be okay with that, because we would be left for 2 years or so like wondering, will they survive, will they not, and like what's gonna happen. Steve Harrington, who is also my favorite character alongside Max, his character arc went completely to trash this season. Talking about kids and having those kids with your ex, that's just not a really good decision. And Steve was becoming so mature lately, but this is just a really dick move, because he obviously knows that she's in a relationship with Jonathan. Even if it's not like all butterflies and unicorns, there is still a relationship. Maybe if he would have asked beforehand, like, what's the deal with Jonathan? How are you doing this long distance stuff? And she would start complaining a bit because she has a lot to be complaining about. Maybe then that would be somehow more justified, but they never really had this conversation. So that was just so bad from Steve's side, and I feel really ashamed of my favorite character, and I do love him so much. But again, he was kind of blindsided by the crew, because they kept telling him that, oh yeah, Nancy is into you, she obviously still loves you. But again, these people, so Eddie was telling him that, and Robin, and they don't really know Jonathan, and they don't know the relationship between Jonathan and Nancy, so he shouldn't have believed them, because it's obviously a dead end. And I love Nancy and Steve, even in the first season. I think they're a great couple, but it should be done like differently, you know, because it doesn't give Steve much justice, and it doesn't give Nancy much justice either, because she's just cheating on her boyfriend, and Jonathan isn't that bad. Although I think this season he was kind of trash, a really shitty boyfriend. Okay, I can agree that in the 80s it was probably really difficult to come out as gay nearly impossible to keep baiting Will as queer, and all these ambiguous monologues. It just doesn't do this character much justice, and they actually like kind of gave up on Will because he had so much potential. Although we saw very little of him in the first season, I was really excited for the second one where he like came out and was in the center because he had this connection to the Upside Down. Noah's acting was really great, but now it seems to me that even Noah doesn't know what is happening because he doesn't know how to react. He's making all these faces, and that's basically it. And since the third season, he has basically been downgraded to this tool of being connected to the Upside Down and to Vecna, as we figured, and being like a gay representation character. And he's just always reaching for his back to like touch his goosebumps or whatever. And that sucks because I really love Will, and Noah was super great at portraying him, and now he's just meh. You don't care much about Will right now, and even his tears doesn't move you in a way that they should have if he was still a character. There is actually a problem with characters on the show, like actual characters. Most of them, as I've said, are just tools or whatever. For example, Argyle, and I love him, he's super fun, he's great, he's my dude, but he's not a character. He doesn't have a personality, a storyline. He's just there for a comic relief. The same, in my opinion, can be said about Jonathan, Mike, and Will this season. So this whole like buzz group, they're not fully developed characters with an arc, with their own philosophy. Okay, Mike's philosophy is just to ignore things, but I think you get what I mean, and that makes it super hard to care about them because they're just there for whatever reason. And I don't really understand if it's the Duffers' fault or actors' fault or just overall story's fault, because it's really getting too crowded in there. So the last episode, it has a lot of great moments, like Eddie's concert scene, but overall it was way too predictable with the death, with Hawkins falling. It was really like known from the start that it would happen, especially if you watched the interviews after volume 1. So it was obvious that something bad was gonna happen and Vecna would succeed in some way. I was very happy that it lasted this long because Stranger Things does really have this amazing atmosphere that you can stay with for wherever it takes, for whatever long, but I still think it was too stretched out. Some of the scenes were unnecessarily long, and it could have been, to be honest, a great 1.5 hour episode. I'm happy that we got a longer one. I just think they should have used it to give space to a lot more, or like explain a lot more fully touch the topic of Will's sexuality, because it's really important. And if they leave all that for the 5th season, it's just, I don't see it working out that well. So yeah, the final episode, although I rewatched it already like 3 or 4 times, it probably needed some more depth, because we had this really long episode but not that much meat in it. Okay, now my small bit about the earthquake, and I don't know much about earthquakes, but they definitely don't look like this. Like a literal hellhole opened under your feet and you're like, yeah, that's an earthquake. But again, I have never experienced earthquakes, so I can be mistaken, but it's definitely very strange that they called this an earthquake. Like, okay, I get it that for the media it's probably an earthquake just to keep everyone at bay and keep everyone calm, but for Hawkins people, they definitely should be worried, not because of the earthquake, but because of something way bigger than just any natural disaster. But now as I think about it, maybe they were trying to do a bit on like natural disasters, and we should care about the nature, because nobody apart from like the main crew never really cared about Hawkins and whatever is happening underneath it in the Upside Down, and my dog just went somewhere. That is again a major cliche that they never checked if they like killed Vecna for real. And I've seen a lot of people complaining that they, after like this scene of Vecna falling down, they immediately jumped 2 days later, so we don't know how they got out of it. Did they just climb up from somewhere, because Upside Down is literally streaming through the Hawkins veins now? Or did they have to go to the same spot they came in from? So how does this work now? I think it should work differently. Like, I think random people really can get to the Upside Down more easily now, and I've read that this is a good idea for a spin-off. Just show different characters, different Hawkins characters who just accidentally got to the Upside Down, or like how their life was affected by whatever happened with Vecna. So I guess we have a lot of unanswered questions that should be answered in the 5th season, and I really hope that they will do justice to Steve and Nancy if they decide to make them a couple again. And I hope that they will say something more eloquent considering Will's sexuality, and maybe he will finally like for reals confront Mike about it, because Mike obviously knows, although he's like oblivious to a lot of stuff, he knows that Will feels something towards him. That is why he chose to ignore it, because that's an obvious thing to do, because you don't really know what should you do if your best friend proclaims his undying love for you. So I just really hope for justice for this kid Lucky. So I just really hope that these characters will get justice, and maybe Eddie somehow will get justice as well. The Hawkins people, they will understand what he did for them. They will know about his sacrifice, but also like story-wise, it is in a way satisfyingly painful that they don't know, because it resembles real life much more, because in real life you don't really get a second chance. If you die a bad person, you probably remain a bad person forever, and that obviously sucks in movies. And I do want justice for Eddie and Joseph Quinn. They deserve more screen time. They deserve to be in the 5th season. Okay, I just have to finish with this rant, I guess. I hope Max doesn't die, but my unpopular opinion, I guess, that Max should have died in the 4th season if they chose her to be this bait for Vecna, because I was crying my eyes out during this scene when I realized that she's dead and she could stay dead. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the 4th season, and what are you expecting from the 5th and the final one? I don't have a lot of friends who watch Stranger Things, or like any movies or TV shows for that matter. That is why I have this YouTube channel, because I want to have something where I can talk about what I love and someone to talk about it with. So please help me out. Let me read your amazing ideas, amazing reviews, and have a great day, and never stop watching great movies and TV shows.